Остава 20 минути. 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 Остава 20 минути.
Testing, testing. Okay. All right, great to see so many people here. Let's try to get settled. We'll start in a minute. All right. Hey, everyone. Hello. Sandy's here. Hello. Thank you. Thank you for thank you all for joining us. Thank you for the second Borathon, or our internal hackathon. Some of us still are not used to this name. Thank you for all the friends and other colleagues who are here to hear something something interesting this afternoon and have a beer. Thank you, judges, for your time. A couple of things. My name is Vesko Arnaudov. I have the pleasure of leading the Advanced Development Center here in Sofia for those of you who are joining for the first time. For the first time, we're trying to stream this via some more sensible streaming platform. And I think this is being recorded, so I should probably keep it down. But I'm overexcited as you are. It's hello Q Center. You should be seeing us or something like right now in the cafe. This cafe is not holding all the people that we want. Maybe we'll have a bigger one. All right. So what is the hackathon? The hackathon is a 2-day soul-wrenching exercise where you poured your soul into some code that is probably not really working as you expected at the end. But whatever happens, first off, please thank the 12 teams that competed for 2 days and didn't sleep well for a long time. Okay, what's going to happen next is follows. We have to be kind of strict on time. For those of you who are joining the Borathon for the first time, we have the following setup. Each team, in a random order that's already determined, is going to present. They'll have to present on what they've been up to. The theme of this Borathon was Prototypers Unite. So this was a free theme. Work on your own project and work on your radio proposal, XLabs, or anything else innovative that you wanted to do all year, but you didn't have a chance. Now was your chance to gather with friends and colleagues and do it. You are going to be judged. We have judges. Please raise your hands. That doesn't make sense because only 5 people are going to see you. For judges, we have from right to left, Rostislav Georgiev, he's an architect at VRA. We have Sergei Surkov, director of the UI in the CPBU. We have Dani Grigorov, who we specifically took out of the Borathon competitions because he kept winning it with his teams. Currently an engineer in Sabu, senior engineer in Sabu. And we have 12 teams, Kari, please confirm. 12 teams? 11 teams. 11 teams. We have 11 teams who are going to stand up here on stage and be judged. They're going to be judged on the novelty of their idea. Novelty in terms of VMware, non-VMware, and outside. They're going to be judged on the impact of their idea. They're going to be judged on the clarity with which they present, or actually, do you understand their idea at all? And most of all, they're going to be judged on whether this works. Yep. Which team are you on? Also, there is going to be voting for people's choice. This is going to be the audience choice, whichever you like best. We are going to put out that link at the end so that we make sure that you looked at all the presentations. This year, we will save some trees and not do the paper ballots that we used to do this year. This is something new for the judges too. And optionally, the judges may bestow upon their discretion what we call the Empathy Award, or the Software Development Lifecycle Award. This is awarded to a project that does good to other fellow engineers. We're going to have about 10 minutes for each project, so I'm going to shut up now, and I'm going to just ask you to keep quiet during the presentation. I know tensions are up among the teams and among the audience, but please be respectful for the people here. It takes a lot of guts to stand in front of an audience and talk, especially after not sleeping a lot. So please be respectful and also have fun. Talk to the people afterwards if you want to. Enjoy afterwards the beer party, and help the judges if you want by bribing them. I don't know. That last one was a joke, of course. All right. So who's the first team?
Okay. Can you hear me? Okay. So our idea was to actually move us into the 2017, or at least in the 20th century, and move away from HTTP 1 and move to HTTP 2 for our communications. And we actually tried to move it even further with a novel idea that we saw, that is to use mesh communication between the nodes rather than... Okay, so this is what our data flow looks like now. If it's intentionally that ugly, actually, because it is. Everybody talks to everybody. Everybody deals with SSL, with remote and local communications, and everybody needs to deal with network issues. There are thousands of connections between the nodes, especially between the VPSD nodes, and we are actually hitting the number of file descriptors. And diagnosing connections is probably, everybody knows, is very hard. There's a lot of jumping between, no, it was my service, no, it was your service, or something else. So we decided to switch that into that, which is all the services talk only to the local mesh proxy and over unencrypted HTTP 1 or HTTP 2. Between the nodes, we have a single HTTP 2 encrypted connection, and on the remote mesh proxy actually demultiplies that and sends it to the correct service. So this is how it will look like, and these are the benefits. So services do not deal with certificates, do not deal with TLS, do not deal with connection problems, and we have very few connections between the nodes. So everything's much cleaner and easier to understand. So this is how we decided it could be done. We decided to use the Envoy level 7 proxy. This is an open source project that's written in C++. It was open sourced by Lyft, and it's been picked up by Google and some other companies. We decided the approach we will use is convert the RHTTP proxy configuration to the Envoy proxy configuration. We wrote a script for that one, and then that we need to update LDAP in the lookup service to actually report local nodes for every connection rather than reporting remote nodes. So this is what's the transformation that we did. As you can see, we actually put the remote host in the path rather than in the host name of the URL. And then the Envoy proxy has the corresponding remapping rules, which actually sends it to the correct Envoy proxy, and then it reaches the correct one. So this is what we managed to accomplish. We were able to convert the entire config to Envoy config. We have automated script. We have a script that updates the LDAP. We have the exact rules for mapping node-to-node communications. We had to implement some actions on connections like allow, redirect, and reject between HTTP and HTTPS. In Envoy didn't have that one. Envoy exec faulted initially on ESX. We were able to fix that and make it work. And we were actually able to successfully replace RHTTP proxy on VC, PSC, and ESX nodes and have a working setup. And on M2 and 2 setup, we were able to get it kind of working. There are still a couple of services that didn't start. These are the things that we have in the future plans, which is actually properly upstream the actions for allow, redirect, and reject. There is a ticket tunnel support that's currently used for NFC. That one is not supported. We didn't have time for it. And we need to actually update VPXD because VPXD doesn't use lookup service for its ESX connections. And we need to actually add new configuration on every hostat. And the connect tunnel support is in progress in Envoy. We have to follow that one. So now we move on to demo. Okay. Само това нещо. Сега ще се дисконектна. Connect this way. Okay, so here we have the setup, which is the ESX and VC setup. And as you can see, currently the clients do not connect because I've stopped the proxy. And if I start the true Envoy proxies on the two sides, actually, I can open the web UI. You can see up here it says that it is HTTP2 enabled, and I can start. One of them is the host UI, and the other one is the vSphere UI, and both of them are HTTP2 enabled. So this here is the vSphere UI. We can power on a VM. Actually, power off. Yes, when I power off it, you can see that actually task updates are received. And see this one. I can actually start the VM from here. let me just start it from here then. The other UIs. Okay. Okay, where's my virtual machine? Okay, virtual machine. Power on. And it should show up here. We have also here a working end-by-end setup, which this one has actually LDAP replaced, and we can still see and view all the notifications, recent tasks, and the VMs. We can do power operations of the VM as well. So this is actually, that was actually my demo. It actually works with the Envoy proxy, so everything works correctly.
Thank you. All right. Passing the non-working mic to the judges. Judges, do you have any questions for the contestants?
Do you have an estimation about the performance there?
Well, so the question was, do we have any estimate on the performance benefit? We don't have measurements, actually. We need to run some. We didn't have the time for that, but our personal feeling was that the UI was actually much more responsive than using the HTTP1 requests.
Okay. What about the security concerns between the proxy and the originator of the communication? The proxy,
yes.
Services are going to communicate with the proxy over unsecured HTTP.
No. All services communicate unsecurely only to the local host proxy. Between proxies, it's actually secure connection.
Okay, but between the services and the local proxy, it's not secure.
No, the service communicates to proxy and the proxy communicates to another service. Yes.
Okay. So
yes.
Proxy, the first leg of the journey is not secure.
Yes, because it's local host. If you actually are on the machine and have access to talk on the local host, there's no reason. Actually, even our proxy doesn't currently redirect HTTP to HTTPS for local connections. There's no point in that. We can trivially enable it and allow services to talk to the local proxy securely, but it's just unneeded overhead.
Okay.
Right.
Well, thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Awesome work.
All right. Ready for another project written in D? Yay. All right, my name is Alex, and for the last 2 days I was part of the D JavaScript UI team led by Dencho with the help of Sybil and Andre. Oh, I forgot the clicker. Do I have a clicker? So what we did was, if anyone of you is familiar with the current architecture of the vSphere with regards to the UI, it looks something like this. So we basically have a UI layer that has 200,000 lines of JavaScript and HTML, and a middle tier written in Java with some 300,000 lines of Java, and the VPXD, that's essentially the source of truth for this UI. But we asked ourselves, like, what does this Java actually do? What does it represent? And most of the Java actually is used for getting the data out of the VPXD and representing it in a way that's human-friendly and easier to display inside the browser. But we think we can do better, at least Dencho does. So we came up with this lasagna that is at least a little smaller than the previous lasagna, but we basically decided to completely remove the current Java layer that lives inside the Virgo server and port it to decode. Yay! But what does this decode give us? Well, one thing is that it lets us run inside the same process as the VPXD. Two, it lets us reuse the model classes and the types defined on the back end, so we don't have to emit any bindings or whatever. And three, it lets us emit highly optimized JavaScript that will run inside the browser. So with a more concrete example, this is what it looks like. So on the very left, we have the existing Clarity and Angular UI. And on the very right, we have the VPXD. And in between, we don't have the Java anymore, but instead we have some D code that compile time generates server-side code running inside the same process as VPXD, as I mentioned, and also the JavaScript running in the same browser instance as the UI. Both of them could communicate using the API. So if we go to a more concrete example, time for demo, which would require some setup. So what we've done with our demo is we've ported a functionality that already exists in the current HTML5 vSphere client, which is the rename VM dialog. Lets the user get the name of a VM by its ID, but also given the ID and another name, we can rename the same VM. So how does it work? Well, basically, from our Angular code, we call the newly emitted JavaScript that was written in D that instead calls the D server-side code running on the back end. With that, what we do is we skip the intermediate Java layer. And if we go back to the presentation, the benefits out of this are a few. So first one, this lets us improve performance simply because we skip one network hop. Two, we benefit from the type safety of D, and it lets us reuse the types defined on the back end. Three, it lets us, actually not the code that we wrote, but actually the decompiler that we use lets us emit highly optimized JavaScript, because I'm not going to go into too much details, but this JavaScript code, instead of using high-level JavaScript APIs, it uses low-level primitives which resemble assembly instructions and are a lot faster. I already mentioned the reduced network calls, but also there's one less technology to worry about. We eliminate Java, so we don't support that. We don't worry about it. And last but not least, we plan to submit an awesome radio paper with a prototype that we built in the last 2 days and with the awesome ideas that we have. So with that, I would like to thank you all and offer for questions.
Thank you. So I'm assuming some of the judges may have questions on this. Okay, so we have one of the judges being biased. Another non-biased judge.
So I don't know what is in the Java code there, but looking at the number of lines there which you show, looks like it's not just a simple converting or calling one to the other. There is a lot of logic. Do you plan to rewrite all this logic in D, or what?
Well,
meaning or proposing to rewrite that, not you personally to rewrite.
You want to take this? Okay.
Maybe I will take this one. So, yeah, mostly actually we propose to rewrite the Java part, partly move part of it to the JavaScript side and the other part to the virtual center. Essentially, this will already find the API that is used from the backend to the front end. Definitely moving to both sides, because the current API is not suitable for the UI, and actually we need a different UI, the different API to be suitable for the UI, and also we have to consume the new API on the UI side because it will not, again, it will not be exactly like the data-driven UI, like providing everything from the backend. We'll still have some layer there which needs to be like doing something. I don't want to go in details, but the main point is that they will share the same API, like the API definition will be written in D, and they will share the types and just communicate as if you have written a client and a server in D, just doing RPC calls between them. But the main point is that the client side is compiled to WebAssembly or JavaScript, subset of JavaScript, which actually gives us all the, like, you actually write the client-side part in D as well.
No,
So
the idea is really cool, but it's really a lot of code and which have to be rewritten if the whole thing moves. Do you have any estimates? And there are plugins coming from other products to this, which will...
well, we haven't got that deep into details there. Like, I will just mention that D is very similar to Java, actually, or the syntax is very similar. So actually, there are automatic converters that work, but I don't suggest to use them because we'll keep the API this way, and it is probably better to actually rethink what is the point that we want to separate the UI from the backend, which is different from where we are now.
Thank you, thank you. Next, though, we have to keep on with the schedule.
Okay.
Sorry, didn't mean to be blunt, but you can continue the conversation afterwards. While the other team gets set up, I just wanted to mention that there are two other people, actually a couple of more people who are responsible for today's event, and that's Hari, Ilian, and the entire events team that helps. So thank you guys, it wouldn't have happened without your organization.
Hello, can you hear me? Good. Just a bit, just a bit. Hello everyone, I'm here today to talk about how we're going to send notification to customers about their new versions of products they have in the environment. We are Team Cornissen. And typical workflow to upgrade a customer environment is several steps. The first steps is for the customer to find out what are the new versions of the products, find out which products he has in the environment, figure out if he needs to upgrade or not. This is time consuming both for the customer and for VMware, and we think that's something we need to change, and we can change because we're going to release a lot more versions, a lot more new products in the future. Our mission is to make that whole awareness process automatic and inform the customer that there are new versions in their environment, even if they don't know about that product was in their environment. We want to make the life of the customers and VMware's life easier.
Hello, everybody. So here is depicted the whole architecture of the notification solution. On the left side, you can see the typical customer deployment with two virtual center server instances and products like VRA, VCD, NSX, SRM, etc. register with those vCenter servers. And with small green boxes marked with US is a central point of the architecture, which is called updater service. And the idea here is that this service needs to be triggered and check for the new released version of a given product. So how this is going to work? So the updater service will be triggered on a regular basis, let's say once a day. And it is responsible to do the three main steps. So the first one is to collect all the products that are registered with current virtual center server, along with their versions. Then sends all the collected information to the VMware Analytics Cloud for further processing there. On the VAC side, we have a dedicated data application which is responsible to process this request. So this data app needs to request our SIM database. SIM here means software interoperability matrix, and request all the releases for a given set of products that we have already discovered on the customer side. Then compares the information taken from the customer side and those taken from the SIM database, and in these ways the data app is able to find out if a given product has newer version released. Then post that result to KV store, where the result is consists only of the products that have already released, that already have newer version. On the VC side, updater service regularly needs to pause for the result on the VAC side, and once the result is available in the KV, it consumes it and notify all the UIs. Here UIs are VAM UI, NGC, H5 client, etc. So, and finally the customer will be notified for the newer version of any of the product that he has already installed in the environment.
We're going to show you a demo now, how that's done. I'm going to show you now vCenter UI. Once that powers up. In that environment, we have NSX and SRM installed. They are the latest versions that we currently have on the market. But our release manager, Evo, is now going to release a new version of SRM to version 8.5. As you can see the UI, nothing is happening. But once he released the version, we're going to see a notification informing the customer that there's some changes in the environment and he can upgrade. We can, of course, do that not only for the UIs, but we can send them email internally, etc.
Okay, so I, as a release manager, will post a new release for the SRM in the SIM database.
Here you can see that immediately it's shown. We have the information that there is a new version for the SRM going up for 8.5. Future work will be to add information, what's new in it, what's important, and then the extra future work is to have one button to install and upgrade the environment, which from customer perspective is very important thing. They're always complaining that the upgrade process for our products are bad, and we want to improve that. Okay?
Questions? All right, I think that must have been a very clear presentation because there are no current questions from the judges.
Okay, thank you.
Hot in here, but let us know if you feel that way as well. Basically, give us feedback. It's going to help make this space a bit better. So if you receive a survey, please fill it out. Or if you just want to drop me or Harry a line, do that as well. Thanks.
Testing, 1, 2, 3. Hey everyone. Hello? Yeah. Okay, so our project was to create a library for reading and writing registry, Windows registry under Linux. The reason why we need such a thing is actually very specific to our project. We are on the operating system based replication team, and for our Windows case, for the target to successfully boot, we patch the Windows registry. So I should note that there is no official specification of the Windows registry. All the information gathered is due to reverse engineering. There are a few libraries that we've tried, but all of them are buggy and incomplete. So we found a specification and we decided to do it ourselves. So the registry Hive is a logical collection of keys, values, and subkeys, which contains keys and values and so on. And Hive consists of a primary file, a transaction log file for fault tolerance, and the backups of the primary files. I'm not going to go into any more detail for the format. Now I'm going to show you a demo. Okay, so before I show you the demo, the idea was to run this under Linux, but as the name of the team is Linux Fira, we couldn't manage to compile it under Linux because of missing library that we need, code SVT. So we're going to show you it under Windows. But the code is cross-platform, so it should be able to run in any OS.
So we wrote a library and a command line interface wrapping, calling our library functions. Now we're going to execute a query for the control set services WWA and CVT key.
As you see here, the values, display name, blah, 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 image path, depends on. Now we're going to show you a delete operation. Let's delete the depend on services. Okay, let's execute the query again and make sure that the command completed successfully. There we go. It's no longer there. So what's left to be done is to delete keys. Currently we only can delete values, and in future we hope to open source the whole project. Any questions?
Thank you. I have a question, by the way.
Yes.
Not from the judges, but I have the mic, so. Can I, if I understand correctly, can I mount a VMDK from Linux, for example? I mount some VMDK, and then I use your tool from Linux to change a value of the registry that's part of this VMDK.
Yes, actually that's our idea. That's our plan, to integrate it in our project.
Thank you. Judges, any other questions?
I didn't quite understand the benefit of me having this Linux-based. I didn't understand what is the benefit of having this Windows registry on Linux. I mean, what is the problem which you are solving? I mean, we can find an application, but what is the problem?
The problem is that when we perform replication for the target